Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift, a show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the Momentum Shift is what you've been looking for.
Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, C. Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and always excited to have you join us, because on the Momentum Shift, we're all about changing the status quo. We help people shift perspectives so that you can create momentum shifts to closing the gap to what you could become, or what I like to say is from who you are to what you could become, or where you are to what you could be, where you could be in life. I think that is an important piece when we find ourselves standing on a cliff asking, should I jump or should I stay there? So today's guest is somebody who embodies that transformation. He's resilient and he's purposeful. Silas Grant. I won't say your whole name, man. I'm sorry. Silas Grant. In our research, sometimes we pull up everything, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Silas, man, you're a strategist, speaker, and storyteller who spent his life building people, and literally and figuratively. I love what you do. I think, like I said, the way you operate, man, the authenticity, you share it seems like you share a lot of your journey, of your challenges. I think that's great. And you use that to help people to go from where they are now to what they could become. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. I had an opportunity to meet your sister a few months ago. And as soon as I met her, I said, you got to meet my brother.
Yeah. My sister, Shamante, big shout out to her. My latest endeavor, the book that I recently published, Showing Up, The 5 Principles That Saved My Life. She was the editor for that book.
Okay.
So she's my sister, 10 years my senior. So I tell people I had 3 moms growing up, my biological mother and my 2 older sisters. And so my sister has been supportive of me for the greater part of my entire life. And I'm happy that in this latest endeavor, she's actually right next to me, step in step, as the editor of my book.
That's cool, man. Like I said, she said you got to meet my brother, man, and she's awesome too. Having to get a chance to sit down and talk to her a little bit about her journey as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I talk a bit about her story in my book as well.
Okay, and we're gonna talk about that book. You mentioned it already, Showing Up, and you said 5 steps that changed my life, right?
Yeah, the 5 principles that saved my life.
5 principles that save your life. So before we get to really diving into it, I touched on just a tad bit of your story. Talk to us a little bit about who Silas Grant is, and what's your mission?
Yeah, so I am based in Washington, D.C., a D.C. native. Grew up at the foot of power, I guess, when it comes to politics and government. My mom and dad raised the 3 of us, my 2 sisters and I, in Northeast DC. Again, service has been a big part of our family DNA. For me, growing up as a child in church, I was an usher in church. And so that was my first sort of service experience. And my mom and dad, their household served as a portal for a number of family members migrating north. And so my mom and dad were always supporting younger members of the family. And again, through their activity at church and at home, service has always been, weaved into my entire experience. And so went away to college at Hampton University, was there between 1997 and 2002.
Okay.
And in that time period, when I left DC, a lot changed here. And I found a lot of my friends were not experiencing the best versions of life. And so I wanted to come home and help my peers. And so got involved in politics and government with the hopes of being able to leverage relationships in that space to be able to help people through legislation, through policy, through connecting resources. And so I went from serving in my family, serving at church, to now serving in my community, volunteering in different community spaces, nonprofit organizations. And through all of those experiences, I've learned that serving is really evaluated or analyzed by how well you pay attention to those that you're serving. And so that ability for me to analyze those relationships and what people need has caused me to create a space where I now teach how to have high impact in high intense environments. And so being in the nation's capital, there's a lot of demand
Yeah.
on everyone who's providing services. And my goal is to be able to push the mission of elevating people in their performance as they serve.
I like it, man. And you touched, I mean, you didn't talk about all the different organizations you touched on, but man, I was reading, man, you a lot with the youth.
Yeah.
When you were in Hampton, you were involved in a program as well. And I don't have it right here with me right now, but it was
Making Men Foundation.
Making Men
Yeah.
Proud. Yeah, there we go. That one, I'm like, that's huge, man, because you have a lot of individuals who get to the college level and they're struggling when they get to college, trying to figure out what am I going to do? How am I going to get through class? I'm away from my family. My friends aren't around. People don't like me here, you know? And so that's a good place to start. Am I right?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And it's interesting because in my life, I've always had to make decisions on doing the right thing, as we all do, right?
Right.
But I've been fortunate and blessed to have friends around me that were also doing the right things. And so that first sort of splash into community service started when I was in college. And that Making Men Foundation was founded by a good friend of mine, Mike Lee, who tragically lost 95% of his vision,
Okay.
his physical vision.
Mhm.
And so in the process of him losing that, he's a few years older than me. So at the end of my college time, he was already graduated. A man in his early 20s losing his vision, he could have easily been depressed and, down on himself.
Yeah.
But he wanted to give back and pour into others. And so when I saw him doing that, I was like, you know what? I know I can give a part. And
Yeah.
so him being a good friend of mine, he pulled me in, and I kind of caught the bug from there.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big piece, man. To see. Sometimes we look at our journey and go, man, it's just so tough. And then you find people and put yourself in the room with individuals who are doing it no matter what they're facing. It's
Yeah,
inspiring.
yeah. There's actually a book I read this year called The Big Leap, and it talks about the limiting thoughts that we have and how most of the time our limiting thoughts are really motivated by fear and ego.
Yeah,
And oftentimes, when we think about ourselves, that's when we become self absorbed with criticism. And when we stop thinking about ourselves and thinking about the mission, then we lose that fear and our ego goes down and we're able to be productive.
yeah. So we've gone a little bit, and I always like to ask the question, usually when we start out, is what momentum shifting means to you and how has it helped you change your life? And we touched on a little bit of it, but please feel free to answer that question and take it where you want to take it.
Yeah, momentum shifting for me is about building systems and routine.
Welcome to the Momentum Shift, a show where we get inspired, get moving, and get results. My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a two-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you. Now, every Friday, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready for either an interview of these incredible people, a solo episode with myself, or maybe a remix of multiple interviews of these incredible, inspiring people. Begin. The goal is simply to help improve lives, and we're going to leave you with some nuggets for success. It's going to help you create that momentum shift that's going to really change your life. But don't stop there. I want you to go over to Apple Podcasts. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to leave feedback, because that feedback, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to help to improve the show in the future, because I really want to give you what you need to get that momentum shift in your life so that you can get going with making that impossible possible for you. So I'm really grateful to have you join me. I'm looking forward to having your feedback and helping to improve the show. And the one thing I'm really grateful about is I get to hear your stories of how you created that momentum shift that changed your life. So get ready, because the momentum shift is what you've been waiting for.
For me, I'm very systems oriented, very routine oriented. Over the last 6 years, I've developed a number of positive habits on a daily basis, one being walking. So I do a dedicated walk every day. I've not missed a day since June 1st of 2019.
Nice.
And for me, that habit, that system I've built of creating that physical fitness activity and building it within my calendar every day is a way for me to build momentum. And it's really ironic that the days when you don't want to do it, those are the days when you really get that push and you see that progress. And so for me, being consistent, doing those daily things that help re-energize me and reinvest in me are the things that really have helped me the most. So momentum is really about routine and systems and sticking to that consistency.
Yeah, and you touched on something there too, man. You said those days you really don't want to get out and do it. I think I saw one of your videos where you went out into the cold and you were dressed up. You had your hoodie, your coat on,
Yeah.
your hoodie, your
Yeah.
hat, the gloves and everything. And you're saying, people were asking, you gonna go out in that cold? You gonna go out in the cold? And you said,
Yeah.
it's a must.
Yeah. It's definitely a must. I think for all of us, we want to achieve and we want to separate ourselves, but the rubber has to meet the road. And
Yeah,
so that example of that video, that was on purpose. That was with intention. I wanted people to see me in that element to know how far I would go to separate myself and to set a new standard.
yeah,
I'm proud to say above everything else that with that habit in particular, walking, there's so many people that call me now and say, I walk every day now because of you.
nice.
So I think it's videos like that that got people moving, no pun intended.
Right.
And for me, it's about fitting into fitness.
Yeah. And I got to ask the question because you said something in your one of your videos that I want you to share what led to you in your book that you wrote, as well as what led to your walking. I heard that and I'm like, wow, that's big, man. And I'll touch on it after you talk about the weight loss.
Yeah, so it started with me when my daughter was born, and I was going into paternity leave for about 7 weeks. And I had this physical issue one day, the day that I was set to go on paternity leave, found myself in the emergency room, throwing up, not knowing what was next. The doctors really didn't have a diagnosis for it, but I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I knew that a part of it was at the least my decision making. And I was eating a lot of the wrong foods. I was making bad selections from that perspective of my life. And when I went home for paternity leave, I made a decision that I wanted to become a better person.
Okay.
And so once I made that declaration, the actions followed suit. And so you talked at the onset of this discussion about becoming.
Yeah.
And that's my message to people. You have to first declare who you want to be, and
Yeah.
the actions will follow from there. And ironically, two young men that I still mentor that are now, good friends of mine, they helped me put together a blueprint. And that blueprint included walking every day, doing intermittent fasting, increasing my water intake,
Okay.
working out more often. So it took a small group of people investing in me and saying, Silas, you look like you're serious. So
Right.
let me share what works for me. And I took those things, added some of my own, and ran with it and haven't looked back since.
Isn't that funny how with an open mindset and believing you can learn from anybody, how the mentor becomes the mentee?
That is it. That's why we've gone from mentor mentee to friends now because they've sown a seed inside of me that is irreplaceable. Like I can't ever thank them enough for thinking enough of me. And
Yeah.
it's now become a full-fledged relationship where we pour into each other.
Yeah, and congratulations, man. 100 pounds and being able to keep it down is huge, is big, man. Because I know
Yeah.
a lot of people will lose 15 to 20 pounds and gain it back. I've done it on occasion.
Yeah.
So I applaud you on being able to keep it down. And so basically you would say it would be your commitment to stay consistent in all you do and intentional in all you do.
Yep. And to your point, and to the theme of this conversation, it built momentum.
Yeah,
So it gets to the point now where I can't imagine a life without doing the things that I'm doing that are positive.
it's
And that comes from that momentum. That's that push.
Yeah, I like it, man. And what I like, you go out on your walks every day and you share a video and you actually, as they say, you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk.
Yeah, walk the walk, literally. Yeah. And again, it's been a contagious thing. Like I love it. It's addictive. And all of my friends who are now doing it, it's helping them from a health perspective. And it's also addictive for them too in a good way.
Yeah. So let's talk about your book for a little bit, man. You say the book I like the title, Showing Up. You say
Uh-huh.
the title came from you not showing up or having to show up for yourself?
Yeah, it became a question that I had to ask myself, how are you showing up right now?
Okay.
And so when I began writing the book, it was really me unloading all of these sort of hidden thoughts that I had
Hmm.
about the current state of where I was at that moment. And I
Yeah,
was not satisfied with how I was showing up. And so the book, which I have right here, Showing Up, the 5 Principles That Saved My Life,
I
if you
like it.
notice, airplane on the
Yeah,
book, right? And so what I looked at internally was, how do I want to show up? What vehicle do I need to show up? And in a physical example, the most efficient way to get around from distance to distance, as far as long distances, is flying.
right.
And so oftentimes we hear these voices in our minds, whether it be God speaking to us or us replaying messages that people that we love say to us. And ultimately, we don't move on those things,
Right.
right? Or we move at a very slow pace. And so I wanted the book cover in particular to showcase the airplane as a symbol of, we not only have to show up, but we've got to show up with a powerful vehicle that can get us there in a reasonable time.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
saw
really
that.
about me talking about how I show up and how I can expedite that in a better way.
Got you. Yeah, I didn't even think about the airplane when I saw the cover. I was just looking at the stairway from the airplane. And like
Yeah,
you get out and
yeah.
let's go to work. I didn't even think about the airplane. I
Yeah,
like
but also yeah, but to that point though, right? We
yeah,
see like the president staged showing up and walking down the steps. Yeah, exactly. It's
yeah,
it's that impact too, that effect.
yeah. I love it, man. And so when you talk about your 5 principles, what are the 5 principles that help change your life and where do they come from?
Yeah, man. So the 5 principles are: be thankful, be persuasive, rethink time, write things down, and show reverence. And so there are 4 verbs there:
Hmm.
be, uh, think, I'm sorry, excuse me, be, think, write, and show.
Yeah,
And so for me, what I wanted to be able to do was establish the fact that you have to first declare who you want to be.
yeah.
Uh, from that point, you've got to make it clear. You've got to write it down.
Hmm.
Uh, and from there, you've got to show. So it's really about, at the end of it, the results come.
Yeah,
But prior to that, again, it's really about being, thinking, writing, and then it shows up for you.
yeah. I think it's interesting, man. I like it. I think when you start talking about those be, show, write, and what was it again?
Think.
Think. When you start,
Uh-huh.
there was a video you had that said friends, because I'm big on music too. I love music, man. So I like how you
Uh-huh.
tied in the music of friends. You know, how many of us have them, right? And so when you start talking about friends and you start talking about how we want to change our lives, what were some of the challenges? I imagine you probably had quite a few supportive friends in there in your mix, but some of the people who may not have that, what are some of the challenges that somebody's going to have to overcome when it comes to friends and their ability to be, show, write, and think to change their life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I do, as I mentioned earlier, I credit the ability to be able to claim so many great people in my life. I have no shortage of great people that have helped me out. And I also understand that in some regard, that's a privilege.
Yeah.
For those who don't have the relationships that they like to have at the rate or volume that they like to have it. The one thing I have learned is that when you begin to reinvest in yourself and set yourself apart, there is a period where you have to walk alone. And I think that's a testing period for you, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
once you get beyond that test, I believe that the right people begin to show up.
Yeah.
And so there's a period where, there may be a space where you avoid of really great relationships, but once you get over that hurdle, I think the good people recognize the good people.
Yeah.
There's certain conversations that I can have with people once they've accomplished certain things that allows me to be able to make connection with them.
Okay.
And so when you begin to accomplish uh, improvement and progression in your life, you can see it on other people, and it's almost magnetic. And I
Mhm.
believe that if you stick with it, those people will come around shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I like it. A phrase I like to use is if you set yourself on fire, people come to watch and
That's
join.
very good. Yes, that's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a huge piece, man. The energy that you bring, the discipline and the commitment to it, and your why, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, the why is definitely important. That's why in the book, when I talk about writing things down, it's really, really important to write down what it is that you plan to do. The Bible talks about write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah,
So, for me, taking things from my mind and putting it either on a laptop or in a note journal, just having it so that I can see it, it
yeah,
helps me organize my thoughts.
right.
We often think that our brains can hold all of these thoughts and ideas at the same time,
Yeah,
and we think we can pull from them all at the same time. But no, you really need to flush them out so that you can see them. I think seeing it, there's something magical about it I can't explain, but
yeah.
seeing it makes it.
Yeah, it just kind of implants it in there, right? It keeps it at the
Yeah.
forefront into that thinking part, the executive part of our mind, right? I
Yeah.
I laugh because I was telling somebody just the other day, back in the day, I was somebody who would, no, I don't need to write my dreams and goals down. I got it right here. But if you have
Yeah.
65 to 70,000 thoughts flowing through
Yeah.
there and ideas, and then you got the monkey mind going on, you all over the place. You can't remember everything.
Yeah. I talk about in the book how I think by default, we look at our brains in the same way that you would look at a fulfillment center like Amazon or UPS, right?
Mhm.
And for me, I love ordering online from places like Amazon, not so much because of the quality of the product, but because of
Yeah.
how fast I get the product.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll get a bad product from a fulfillment center and I'm not even necessarily upset. I'm happy it got there quickly,
Right.
right? And so, what I wrote about in the book and what I've learned is that we have to realize that our brains are a fulfillment center, but we're only one employee.
Mm,
So, you can't go handle 65,000 packages,
right.
right? You wouldn't know where to find them, even if you had a remotely good system to be able to grab them. So,
Yeah.
taking them out of that center and putting them on a journal in your phone, in your notes, that helps you able to be able to retrieve the good ones.
Yeah.
Right. So of the 65,000 thoughts you have, Eric, how many of them are actually like polished and ready to go?
Right. Yeah.
Probably a very small percentage. So
Exactly.
take a small percentage and put those on paper and separate them. If it's a good idea, it's worth separating out of your mind and putting it somewhere that's dedicated to itself.
Yeah, that's the piece right there. And sometimes you don't even know. But if you don't have a clue of where to start, that's a good place to start with whatever that
Yeah.
idea is and just kind of tweak it from there. And I want to touch on, I like your concept of using Amazon because I always tell people, we what we tell ourselves, we sell ourselves. And if and
Mhm.
if what we tell ourselves was negativity, what are we buying into? And I think that's a huge piece that a lot of us have to overcome when it comes to changing our lives, transformation, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I look at who we are in spirit as a factory or a manufacturer. So what are you manufacturing?
Mm,
I think you can literally manufacture good thoughts, good outcomes, bad outcomes.
yeah.
I write about it in the book where I say we get what we expect and we expect what we get. We're rarely surprised.
Yeah, I like it.
Most of the outcomes that we have, we've either braced for that outcome, good or bad,
Yeah.
and if we haven't. It's a very rare occasion. We normally brace for the things that happen to us. We get what we expect and we expect what we get. But then we get what we accept and we
Mhm.
accept.
Yeah. I heard you talk about that, and I think that's a huge piece is that we sit around and accept the consequences and circumstances we live in
Yeah.
when if we're productive and we write down our thoughts and we're thinking and we're becoming, we can change things.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that was a huge piece for me. I tell my whole transformation journey started at 30 years old, married, three kids, and it was just kind of, well, this is the way it is. This is the way I saw my parents live. This is the way it's always going to be. Everybody I've been around is that way. Until I realized, man, like you said, if I change the way I think, I can change the way I live.
Yeah, definitely. And what you're talking about is what I describe as that script that
Mm.
we've been given.
Uh,
I'm a football fan, and when I watch football, you hear the commentators talk about the first 15 plays.
hmm
So you got the offensive coordinator who really maps out the first 15,
Right.
and they're trying to analyze how many of those 15 will work for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But what happens on play 16? What happens when now you're in the game and you got to respond to what you're seeing from the opposition?
Yeah.
So for you, 30 years old with three children, it's like, okay, all right, my parents told me how to get to this point, but what happens at 31? I
Right.
knew how to get to this point, but what happens at 41?
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of us are living off of a script that, our ancestors gave us, our elders gave us,
Yeah.
and now we're in the game and maybe not all of those plays work and we've got to call some audibles.
Yeah, that's the piece for me, that focusing on that closing the gap. Because we get to a point where we're at this cliff, right? We're at stopping point, and we think, well, I got all the checks in the boxes to get to this point. I'm done. I'm good. I got the house, I got the car, I got the kids, I got the family. I'm good. This is about as best it's gonna get. But then you start feeling something inside, and you're like, this ain't it. There's something else. What is it? And that's that cliff that we stand on where we got to make that decision that to understand that where we are now is not where we're supposed to end up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I feel the same way. And that's why I wanted this book to be on the market. It's funny, right? So my friends are like, yeah, I want to support your book. And I'm telling them, no, this book is supporting you,
I
right?
did catch that. I like how you said that.
This is me supporting you.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to be at that cliff. I
hmm
know what it's like to take that leap.
hmm
And what I'm sharing with people is that here's what happens to get you on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? These are the things that you've got to do, right? You've got to be thankful. You've got to be persuasive. Because here's the thing about being persuasive, right? Just to stop there for a minute. The
Uh-huh.
first person you have to persuade is yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can persuade yourself. I think you can persuade anybody else.
Yeah.
I once heard someone say that when it comes to selling, I may not believe what you're selling, but I
Mm.
got to believe that you believe it.
Yeah. I like.
That's half the battle.
Yeah.
Making people know that you believe what it is you're talking about. So being at that cliff is difficult, but being at that cliff for years and realizing I could have jumped years ago, that's even more difficult.
Yeah. And it hurts to see. I had
Yeah.
we're farmers, right? We just plant seeds because we're not here for everybody, right? We plant seeds, and so it there are people who will stand at that cliff 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and sometimes till the end of their lives, and never take that leap because they don't believe they have it in them. And I think your book sounds like it's going to really help people really move forward in there. I like that, showing up. How did you get showing up?
So for me, I literally wrote the the outline, the five principles in a staff meeting when I
Yeah.
was working
Okay.
within an agency in government. And we were in a staff meeting, and I kind of looked around the room and I wondered to myself, how am I showing up to the people in this room?
Okay.
And if I wanted to improve on that, what would I have to do? And the thoughts started flowing in the middle of a staff meeting. So that's literally where the name came from.
How did you see yourself at that point? Because I mean,
So,
reading a lot about what you've done, and everybody would go, "Wow, this dude was killing it."
yeah, yeah, I felt that I had potential to do better,
Uh-huh.
and I felt that I wasn't living up to that potential.
Okay.
And I think I did a decent job of being self-aware. Because to your point, Eric, I mean, obviously from the outside, it looked like, yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah.
But I felt that I could do more.
Mm.
And I felt that I was at a point where I needed to step my game up in terms of my performance.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't where I needed to be. And I didn't need anybody to tell me that.
Okay.
And so sometimes we are trying to skirt around the truth because nobody said it. But
Mm.
sometimes you can't wait until somebody else says it. You know,
Yeah.
you're strong enough, you're credible enough to be able to assess yourself without beating yourself up to a fault.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation I had internally.
Yeah. It's kind of like because when somebody asks you the question, I get this little sly grin on my face, like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, yeah,
You got me. I'm playing short. I'm playing
yeah,
small. That's
yeah.
that's that's basically what happened that night. That dude asked me what I had done the last 5 years of my life and what I thought the next 10, 15 years was going to look like if I kept going. I'm like, woo, yeah, I got to change things.
You, you know what's funny? You mentioned that, right? And you asked me about friends earlier. I had this thought the other day. This is the first time I'm going to say it, right?
Uh,
Out loud. We often ask people about where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? But think about this for a minute, Eric. What if I asked you, where do you see your friends 5 to 10 years from now?
mm, that's a big
Here's
question.
why I pose that question. Because with any painting, the more detailed the background,
Hmm.
the better the painting looks.
Mm,
And it's easy for you to think about where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years.
yeah.
But when your thinking includes where your friends will be as well,
Yeah.
that shows me you've thought a lot about it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think I saw you said the power of we.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah,
really about, I mean, I think we often don't realize that success is a team sport.
yeah,
You cannot be successful alone.
yeah,
It really comes down to who you are around, what you're doing, where you are. All those things matter. And the people factor, you can never get around that.
yeah.
So to ask a person what they want to do in the next 5 years is one thing. But if they really envision what everybody around them could be doing too, that
Yeah,
shows me they've taken a lot of detail and thought about it a lot more than just it being a passing thought.
yeah. I think that's a big piece too, to understanding that the world is bigger than you. It's not about
Yep.
you. So although
Yes.
when you find yourself whining and complaining and woe is me, it's all about me. But when you start, like you said, looking around and understanding that it's not about you, it's about we and how we can change things.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that, man. I like that. So one of the things I noticed, man, um, you're a reader. You're a big reader.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what sparked that? Is that something that's always been in your like I say your repertoire, your habits and behavior?
It was not always there. I really picked up reading at the level that I do it now about 5 years ago. So on a yearly basis, I do a program called 75 Hard.
Okay.
And It is a mental challenge for 75 days. You work out twice a day, you modify your diet, you drink a gallon of water,
Uh,
you take a progress picture, and it requires you to read 10 pages of a non-fictional book.
okay.
So when I first started in December of 2020, I had to read every day for 75 days. I found myself knocking out maybe 2 books in that time period.
Uh,
And I said to myself, one, I'm going to do this program every year. And two, if I do it every year, you might as well do as much of it as you can year round.
yeah.
So I kept reading from that point. And then in 2024, I had been reading every day, averaging about 10 to 12 books a year. In 2024, I got this book and I finished in a week.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I could keep this going.
Like it.
And I started reading a book a week in 2024. And now in 2025, I'm on book 43 starting today for the year. So
Nice.
uh, in the last 6 years, I've read over 150 books. And people ask me about my physical transformation. Reading is probably one of the biggest contributors to my weight loss
Okay.
because every day it took me away from TV, it took me away from food, it
Mm,
took me away from any other frivolous activities, and it fueled me with new thoughts. Every time I put the book down, I began thinking about ways to be better,
yeah.
and my mind started flowing. So the reading has helped me physically as much as it is, mentally. And it opens up a brand new world for me, and I'm able to see the thoughts that other people have. And quite frankly, it motivated me to finish my book as well.
Yeah, I think, and congratulations on your book again. But I
Thank
think
you.
that's
Yeah.
that's huge, man. I tell people all the time. I grew up in a house where my mom read all the time. My aunts read all the time. I wasn't a big reader, and it didn't
Yeah.
happen until I started on my transformational journey. And just to see that you sit down and do that every day is huge. My mom always says that, you live one life, but in reading, you live 1,000 lives. And I've
Yeah.
learned just as you that in reading, it sparks the creativity, right? It just the ideas start flowing, and it gets you a little bit more motivated to go out and do some things. And so that's a piece for me where before I wasn't reading a book unless it had pictures in it. Now I'm reading
Yeah.
all the time, man. I started that back in January. I decided I was going to get up every day and just read, and so I've done that as well. And so just to hear you talk about how you do it, and not only are you reading it, but you break it down so people can understand it as well. And I think that's
Yeah.
huge, man. That's saying that you didn't just read through it and jump on another book. You broke it down to see how it fits in your life and how you can incorporate some of those things.
It's probably the best way to read with the intention of teaching.
Yeah.
So if you know you have to go and tell somebody about this, then it incentivizes you to pay more attention and to get things out of it. And for me, I like teaching people. So
Yeah.
maybe that's like a character trait of mine in particular. But I think if you absorb anything with the intent of teaching what you have now brought in, I think it helps you to retain it and it helps you to apply it. One of the biggest compliments that I've received from a friend of mine, he said to me, you read and your life is a reflection of it. You look like you've been reading. You look like you're implementing what you've read. And
Nice.
I've never received a compliment anywhere close to that. For
Yeah.
someone to say your life looks like a reflection of the fact that you're reading is the biggest compliment I could have ever received.
Yeah. That's huge, man. That's huge. Did you ever see yourself, when you thought, well, I'm not doing all I could do, did you even imagine what you're doing now as part of what you could be doing? Or
To
did
a degree, I
okay.
did to a degree. There was a point where it started to become clear to me. And again, writing down the vision, making it plain. So
Okay.
I spent some time, maybe about 3 to 4 years ago, writing down what I wanted today to look like.
Yeah.
And, I'm still seeing those things come to fruition. And
Yeah.
you got to be careful. I think you've got to be very specific about what you say you want,
Yeah.
right? I've had some experiences where the things that I prayed for, the things that I wished for, the things that I hoped for came to fruition, but they weren't necessarily in the exact way that I envisioned them. And it's because the vision wasn't as clear as it needed to be. And so I've learned from that, be very specific,
Okay.
right? There's a question that I've asked in some of my workshops to people, is a hot dog a sandwich? And it causes a whole lot of argument, right? Some people say a hot dog is, some people say it's not. Well, when you look at it technically, you've got the condiments, you've got the
Right.
bread, you've
Yeah.
got the meat between the bread. It
Yeah.
has all the elements of a sandwich.
Right.
But if I asked you to tell me what a sandwich was, you wouldn't say a hot dog.
No,
So
not
my
until I
point
split it in half and fried
right, right. So the point of the example or the story is that sometimes when you have a vague sort of vision laid out, you get all the elements, but it's not in the final product that you want it to be in.
it. Yeah.
So I think it's important not just to have vision and to see yourself at the next level,
Yeah.
but get very specific. Write down the color of jeans you want on when you reach that point, right?
Yeah.
Write down the shoe. Like, get specific about it, because I think the more specific you get, I think it pushes you to be able to go after it more. Sometimes we, out of comfort and out of fear, we remain a bit vague because we don't want to actually be specific and be let down.
Right.
I think being specific gets us closer to it the way we want to be able to see it.
Yeah. What'd you say? The more detail you add to the picture, the better it looks.
That's it.
Yeah, I
That's
like
it.
it. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
better it looks. Yeah,
Well, you
definitely.
you talked about something that I was going to ask you about, because so many times I can go back to there when I said I wanted to become a motivational speaker, work with Les Brown, all these different things. Opportunities started coming my way to teach, to write, and do these different things, and I would go, "Nah, that's not me. That's not me." But I found I was self-sabotaging. I was pushing
Oh,
myself away from what I said I wanted. So how do you help people? I know you're not a therapist or a doctor or anything, but how do you help people, or how do you advise people to take a close look at what they're saying no to?
yeah, I think it's easier to embrace the fear
Mhm.
that we have around getting to where we want to go than it is to embrace love and abundance.
Okay.
And so, what I mean by that is when we accomplish something and people congratulate us, a very simple exercise. Hey, Eric, you've got a podcast. I love what you're doing. You've written a number of books. I love what you're doing. And then Eric's response is, "Oh, it's nothing. I'm just trying."
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a deflection that we have when it comes to receiving love and to experiencing abundance.
Mm,
And so, what I would say to someone is practice stepping into the love you receive,
mm, yeah.
right? Because if you don't accept love and compliments, then what will you accept?
Right. Yeah.
I think we are more susceptible to defending ourselves when we are lied about than we are accepting compliments. If somebody said a flat out lie about you, you would
Right.
stand up right now and say, "That's not the truth."
Right. Got to prove them
You
wrong.
would say that with confidence, right? And you would
Yeah.
have all the evidence as to why.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody gives you a compliment, you don't stand up with your back straight up like, "Thank you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So when we talk about what does it mean to step into receiving that love, that's at its very core, just accepting compliments, the
Yeah.
very smallest compliments in our lives.
Yeah.
Exercising that, making that a routine, I think helps build the resolve to be able to do the things that we want to do at a higher level.
That's an interesting point. 'Cause I always tell people the first time I was told I had greatness in me, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm not on the baseball field. I don't, you sound like you're trying to hustle me. So you're
yeah,
right. That is a piece right there. And you can kind of sometimes get it caught up too as you're trying to stay humble and not let your ego take over. But just saying thank you is not a bad thing.
it's not a bad thing. And I think what happens is that once you accomplish something that again sets you apart, you recognize the work that it took. And when you get a compliment in particular from somebody who's also accomplished a lot,
Mhm.
it shows you that they can connect with you. They know maybe not your individual experience, but they know what it takes in general to make sacrifices to get to where you got to go. So again, embracing the love and the abundance is extremely important. And if you want more love and want more abundance, you got to take the love and abundance that you have right now.
Yeah, it's a big piece, man. So if you look at your top five, who would you say would be in your top five
Top five for what?
for people you go to, people you lean on?
Oh, yeah, it's probably too many to name.
Well, maybe
Um,
I should not single everybody out, but you probably,
yeah,
you know what I mean. You probably have a core group.
yeah, no, I do have a core group of people that I'm greatly appreciative for. I write in the book about a scene out of the movie The Godfather.
Okay.
And there was a character, Frank, who was about to testify against the mob.
Hmm.
And Michael Corleone could not get close enough to him to convince him otherwise. So he flew in Frank's older brother.
Hmm.
And Frank's older brother was from the old land in Italy. He came into the courtroom, he stood in the back, and he stood there in amazement, like, I can't believe my brother's about to testify against everything that we love. And when Frank turned around and saw his brother, he modified his behavior right then and said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Hmm.
And that may not be the most positive example, right? We're talking about the Godfather and the Mafia, but that scene always resonates with me because I have friends that I think about when I make decisions,
Yeah.
friends that they don't hold me accountable as in, with the iron fist,
Yeah.
but their lives and the examples that they set are in the back of my mind. So
Yeah.
I have my fair share of people like that that I try to operate in an effort to honor them. Some of them are peers,
Yeah.
some of them are authority figures, but those peers in particular, it's important because I don't have to do that for them,
Yeah.
but I'm compelled to do it because of the example that they've set. And my ultimate hope, Eric, is that I'm that person for them too.
Yeah. I can say, man, that just sitting there, like I said, just reading about you, listening to your videos, listening to how, just seeing how you operate. I think that's you're upstanding, man. I love it. I can't even. It's hard for me to put words to, just to say, man, you're an inspiring story. You empower a lot of people, and I love the journey, man. I think that's awesome. When I sit and I think about, like you said, to lose 100 pounds, to start there is huge, right? And then to do it in a manner that continuing to do it day in and day out and inspire others to keep it going, because you can go and watch all these shows and you can watch all these lose weight quick deals, and they don't understand that it's a process to this. What is it that, like, is there some habits and behaviors you incorporate before you start your day to keep you in the process?
One of the things that I try to do is make my environment as easy as possible to implement the systems that I have in place.
Hmm.
So again, as I wrote as one of the principles, writing things down,
Hmm.
I lay out my calendar at least a day before.
Hmm.
It's very rare that anything on my calendar is added the day of,
Okay.
including what I'm going to eat. So
Got
when I take note of what my dinner is going to be for tomorrow on my calendar, I know exactly what I'm going to eat because I've told myself I make better decisions in advance.
mm,
I
yeah.
wait until dinner time, then I'll find myself in line at a fast food joint versus in line at a grocery store
Yeah.
buying the food I need to be able to prepare
Yeah.
for my meal. And so planning my days ahead, writing things down has been one of the biggest ways in which I've been able to make my systems conveniently fused into my life the way they need to be so that I can do them. If I give place to bad habits, then they're going to run amok.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I give place to the good habits and let those run amok.
Yeah. I think was a quote that I like is, a mind is in itself is can create a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven, and
Yeah.
you have to be on point with it, right? You have to be consistently in your head thinking the positive things, focusing on what you're doing. And I think I love about it is you say intentionality.
Yeah, definitely. You got to have intention and you have to also admit and acknowledge that you have more control over the outcomes than you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some things out of your hands, but in general, you can make some decisions that can give you the steering wheel to be able to take the journey that you want to take to get to where you want to go.
So, so what you got coming up with the book? What's next with the book, and what's next with silasgrant.org?
Yeah, so silasgrant.org is where you can get the book showing up, The Five Principles That Saved My Life. I'm working now on publishing the workbook that will accompany it.
Okay.
In the book, when you read it, you'll see there's a number of questions. I ask questions throughout the book, rhetorical questions of myself,
Mhm.
rhetorical questions of the reader. And I've now taken those questions out and currently formatting those into a workbook that I'm looking to have at the top of the year for people to be able to use. My goal for the book is to have it serve as a performance improvement tool.
Okay.
So I want government agencies, private companies, teams in general to take the book, read the book together, work on the workbook together, and let's help people perform at a higher level. So I'm looking to take the show on the road, talking to as many groups as possible around these principles and hoping to be able to have a high impact on those people.
I love it, man. So you got any workshops coming up?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing some work with a couple of local agencies here in DC that will be involving the book. I've got some workshops in December related to that. But in 2026, Eric, I'm looking to build out some opportunities for the readers of the book to be able to get together and talk about what they've read. So having some focus groups and some workshops. I want to give people a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months to get the
Right.
content in their mind.
Yeah.
But in 2026, I definitely want to have some events, some in-person events to be able to talk about what people got from the book.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Get everybody to read it, and by a certain time frame, we'll get ready to get together and chop it up, huh?
That's it. No, that's exactly it.
Okay. So with your walking, I think you don't you have different events with your walking as
Yeah, I
well?
do. I've got the One Step Walking Club, which you can find us online, onestepwalkingclub.com. We also have an Instagram page. We've got a large distribution group of people that receive weekly updates. We walk together in the summer and early fall, Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Okay.
Tuesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. But now that the sun is setting a little earlier, we've now cut back to just Saturday mornings, 9:30 a.m. If you're in the DC area, we meet over at the Metropolitan Branch Trail, which is along the Red Line over on 8th and Edgewood Streets Northeast. If you go to the site, onestepwalkingclub.com, you'll get updates on where we are with the walks. Sometimes we do switch up locations, so it's important to get connected to the site so that you can see the updates. 3 mile walk, really great conversation. We fit into fitness as well, so you get that walk in. And what I believe is that when people come together and get moving, there's nothing that we can't do. So it's more than just a fitness group. It's really about a group that's looking to reinvest in one another.
Yeah, I like it, man. I always say we're putting together this puzzle that has no pretty pattern, picture, or design, and we just have to put it together. And part of it is once we figure out what it is we want to do, what it is that we're here for, we can start connecting with people with intentionality and help that to help each other and help others. And what you're doing is you're bringing a lot of people together, creating a lot of opportunity for partnerships, and I love that.
Yeah, so if people are out there in the DC area, you've been walking alone, we got a group for you. I mean,
Yeah,
we talked about it earlier in our conversation, Eric, how sometimes for a period of time you got to walk alone, no pun intended.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
when you in that progress, you meet people. So the most beautiful thing about the walking club is that I've got people who've met each other now and they
Nice,
have relationships independent of the club.
nice.
Right? They met at the walking club.
Yeah.
Now they've got a relationship. They're connected on Facebook, Instagram. They follow each other. They talk. And so building relationships as well as building that routine of wellness, those things are equally as important.
Nice. I love it, man. I'm loving what you're doing, man. Loving what
Thank
you're
you.
doing. Is there anything you we haven't touched on today that you like to share with the audience?
Yeah, my final thing is again, as it relates to the book, I want to redefine how we look at reading. I don't want reading to be something that we simply do on an airplane or when we do vacations, right? I want reading to be an everyday part of our lives. So a lot of people have bought the book and they're like, hey, I'm going to crack it open at this particular point or during the holidays. And I'm like, no, crack it open today.
Yeah.
Build in the time every day to read, not just my book, but any book that you think can help you or any book that you think can bring you the level of joy you want that you can get from reading. So that's my biggest thing. I'm on a mission to really transform how we look at reading. Literacy is a skill set that we take for granted so often. We didn't get a chance to talk about this, and I won't belabor us now, but I am a member of Reading Partners DC. I'm on the board for that organization, and we're advocating for literacy each and every day. We're going into different DC public schools, connecting tutors with eager readers in the school system. And my mission between writing this book and being on that board and just all the other experiences I've had with literacy is to bring literacy back to the forefront of the discussion around everything that we do. Because every topic that we deal with, literacy somehow, some way, is fused into that.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. I've got grandsons at the fourth grade, fourth and fifth grade, excuse me, grandkids at the fourth and fifth grade level, and I've heard so many times that we lose a lot of children at the fourth grade level through because of their reading competence. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that is a big issue. We don't talk about it nearly enough. And I think this book allows me to be even further into that conversation. So you'll see me promoting the book a lot, but you'll also see me promoting literacy as much as I do the book, because again, that skill set, it takes you so far,
Yeah.
and I don't think we do it enough.
I love it, man. I love it. I didn't see the importance of it. Took me a while, but I understand now.
Yes,
Silas
indeed.
Grant, man, you truly are a momentum shifter, my man. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Author of Showing Up, The 5 Principles That Saved My Life. Go to Amazon, go to silas.org, get your copy, and get in the game now because, like he said, he's going to get everybody together and create some opportunities later on to go through the workbook. Silas, man, I really appreciate you joining us, man.
Thank you, Eric. Again, I appreciate the time and the conversation as well.
Yeah, man, you dropped some nuggets here today, man, and I'm gonna keep following you. We're gonna talk.
Let's keep the momentum going, right?
Yes, sir. Got to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eric Collier, the Mayor of Motivation. He is Silas Grant, author of Showing Up, the 5 Principles That Saved My Life. Until next week, always just keep pushing because nobody's gonna do it for you. Take care. Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in their house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get in the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you.
You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.